for that. Yes, I'm Dr. Rono Kennedy. I'm a lecturer at the School of Computing, Technical University of Kenya. And today's topic is cybersecurity. And our speaker is Martin Luther. Martin Luther specializes in cyber crimes investigation, cybersecurity, and digital forensics, as well as also data security, computing and networking security, physical security, safety functions, fraud prevention and investigation, anti-illicit trade intelligence. Is an adjunct faculty at the USIU, where he teaches the information technology and cybercrime network management and security, and also computer forensics and investigations. He's also a sessional lecturer at the Technical University of Kenya, Department of Computer Science and Informatics under the School of Computing. Yeah, so Martin Luther also consults in digital forensics and cybercrime scene management for various universities and law enforcement entities. He has a Master of Science in Data Communications, and with 20 years hands-on experience at the national, regional, and international level. He's a resource person at Kenya School of Monetary Studies, Kenya Defense Force Military Intelligence School, and he has instructed in major law enforcement agencies, including members of the Kenya Police Service, cybercrime detectives, prosecutors, banking fraud detectives, and auditors. So welcome, Martin, for today's talk, and we thank you a lot for being for accepting to come and give a talk about cybersecurity. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Prof. Rono, for that introduction. I won't dwell much on my background, as you've heard, and please feel free to ask me any question in between or at the end of the session. I love cybersecurity, and I say I eat cybersecurity, I breathe cybersecurity. Now, for the purpose of this presentation, I'll be talking about career path. I know most of you are students. You might be wondering, after my course, or probably what I'm doing, where will I be? So before we start talking about cybersecurity, for us, we need to know what is this cyber. People talk about cyber all the time. And probably you will notice that when you talk about cyber, most of us really do not appreciate or understand what is this cyber. As I've told you, as you've been told, I've been in this field for so many years, 20 years plus. My background is enforcement, and actually law enforcement. Just a little bit to talk about my journey. When I started studying cyber, there were some motivating factors behind it. One of the motivating factors, as I've told you, I was in law enforcement. Crime started taking a different diversion. In other words, criminals started using computers to commit crime. And that was in around the year 1980. And by 1980, I was in the law enforcement. I was working the DCI, the current DCI office. And we were faced with what I term as a computer theft, and we were not able to identify between the two who was the owner. And it really took us a lot of time to know exactly who owns that computer. Hence, from there, I started studying computing. And of course, I ended up studying studying computer science. From there, I noticed that computer science is not enough. So I went and did something digital forensics. When I did digital forensics again, I noticed that you need to do something in cyber investigations. Hence those many titles. Okay, so for today, my agenda, my expectation is that after this session, you will be able, as a student, to have a clear career path in cybersecurity. You will be able to know what is it that I really need to know in cybersecurity. What are those roles of a cybersecurity professional? And of course, it's very important for you to be able to identify who is hiring, where are you going to work? Are you going to be employed? Are you going to be a consultant? Then, of course, I'm going to talk about the career path to success in cybersecurity. What is this path that you need to follow? What is this road? So, of course, I'll be talking about issues of certifications. I'll be talking about issues of colleges, probably diploma, the starting point, degree. And then I'll just have a few talk on different universities which offer cybersecurity programs. So, having said so, we need to look at, before we talk about cybersecurity, we need to know what is this cyberspace. We need to know what is cyber. When you talk about cyber, you need to know what is this term cyber and where did it come from. So around the year 1948, cybernetics came into being, and this term was coined in comparative to study of automatic control systems, such as the brain, nerves system, and of course, mechanical electric communication systems. Now, when you talk about cybernetics, you will notice that we are talking about automation on control systems. We are talking about human beings, how they think, how their brains think. And of course, nowadays we have what we call artificial intelligence. And in other words, there is also a subject called human-computer interaction, where you are taught how human beings think, and of course, how they interact with the computers, how they see the computers, and how they make the computer manipulate. At this level, my expectation is that all of you appreciate that computers cannot work alone. They must work with human beings. So again, after some time in 1984, the term cyberspace came into being, and this was from William Gibson. And he described as a futuristic computer network into which users plug their brains in. And that's what exactly we are seeing today when it comes to IoT, what we call Internet of Things. When we talk about Internet of Things, of course, we have our wearables. We have our bodies connected to the internet. So again, we are seeing that's the term of cyberspace. Actually, cyberspace has to do with the connectivities and the technologies involved where we are able to communicate with each other and share our resources. Now, cyberspace here encompasses not only the online world and the internet in particular, but also the whole wired wireless world of communication in general. In other words, you have heard people talking about them being wireless, which means they are able to connect to each other. There is this story that I would like us to, I would like to talk about, where we talk about the 6 blind men and the elephant. And here is where the confusion comes when we talk about cyber security. In this old narrative, there were 6 people who were given a challenge in this named the 6 blind men. And they were told that an elephant was put somewhere, and each of them was told to describe what an elephant is. And one of them said in this story that when he touched the elephant, he was able to touch, as you can see the caption there, he was able to touch the elephant, what some of us call the elephant mouth, or probably what we call the elephant base. And what he said, I feel this is a snake. And another one also touched the foot of the elephant. And he was able to say, what I'm feeling here is a wall. And the other one also on the other side, what he said again, he touched it partially and at the back of the tail of the elephant. And he said that I feel like this thing is a tree. Now, if you look at all these blind men, all of them were not right. And this is what normally happens when you talk about cyber security, when you have different types of definition. In the current world, we are not able to give an exact definition of what this cybersecurity is. But all of us know that when we talk about cybersecurity, we are talking of how can we protect our assets. And in ICT, we know one of our assets is data. And that data must be must be protected where it sits, and of course when it's on transit. Hence, that's what we term as the protection of our system. You've heard people talking about protecting our system and information assets. Definitely, when we talk about our system, we are protecting our hardware, we are protecting our software, and of course, we are protecting how that data is being transmitted within our systems. So what I'm trying to say out of this narrative, all of us, we have the same problem, knowing what is it that we are really protecting in the cyberspace. So there are some established elements in the field where we talk about securing our systems. And those are some of the issues that we are going to look into in a short while. Still on it, I have a picture there. In our today's world, all of us are glued in our smartphones. All of us, we are glued in our computers. All of us, we are glued in our, within our working environment, we have computers. Now, we say that computers are good. And of course, at the other hand, we also say computers are bad. In other words, criminals also try to trick us into clicking different links when we are using these gadgets. Now, sometimes these links are sent through via messages, text messages, emails, or in our social media. Almost 100% of us in this room, probably we have our social media links. Now, in those links, something can be sent to you, like a picture, or just probably a bare link. You click it, and of course, it's sent you in a different direction. In other words, what we are saying all the time, we are online, as that caption states. Now, when we are online, we need to protect ourselves. We need to protect the devices. And that is what we term as cybersecurity. In other words, I'm going to give some definitions on how we can define cybersecurity. Just in a glimpse, if you were to look at the Oxford Dictionary, you'll find that it defines cybersecurity as the state of being protected against the criminal or authorized use of electronic data or the measure taken to achieve this. In other words, the objective there is protection of data. If you look at the Merriam-Webster, it says that those are measures those are measures taken to protect computer or computer systems. In other words, they are saying those measures that are taken to protect internet against unauthorized access or attackers. Then you look at another site there at whatson.com. It will tell you the body of the technology, processes, and practices designed to protect networks, computers, programs, data from attack, damage, or unauthorized access. Now, if you look at all those definitions, they are talking about protection of our system. They're talking about how can we protect our system. And when we talk about our system here, we are talking of all those devices that we use, of course, to transmit data, we use to share our resources within the internet. In other words, cybersecurity are those measures that you take to make sure that your devices are secured. So we have, in an academic world, we have some definitions there for the purpose of this presentation, where we are saying that cybersecurity is the collection of tools, policies, security, concepts, security safeguards, guidelines, risk management approaches, action training, and those best practices to assure that the technologies that we are using can be used to protect our cyber environment. And this will form the basis of our career path. You will notice that cybersecurity is a big forest, and for us to be able to achieve this, of course, we need proper tools, we need proper policies, we need those security safeguards, and of course, we need the best practices guideline. And for us to be able to secure our systems, or for us to be able to understand what is this cybersecurity, we also need to take what we call the risk management approaches. And at the end of the day, remember again, as I said, computers do not work alone, they work with the users. These users must be trained on how to use their devices. they also must be trained on how to behave when they're online. Now, you will notice in all this, you as a student, of course, you need to choose which is your best career path. Of course, I'm going to talk about it in a short while. Now, for us to be able to understand what is this cybersecurity, there are things that, of course, we need to know as professions and, of course, as students. For you to be able to appreciate cybersecurity, you need to understand the fundamentals of cybersecurity. Now, what are these fundamentals of cybersecurity? You need to appreciate network and security concepts. For those who have studied computer networks, of course, you know those concepts. We have what we call information assurance fundamentals. And for us to be able to know that we are secure, or probably for us to be able to be assured that the information we are using over the internet, that information must be authenticated. That information must be, in terms of authorization, when you talk about authenticating of that information should not have been tampered with while it sits in its container. And in this context, when I talk about containers, I'm talking about the databases. When I'm talking about information being resting, I'm talking about information being seated either in your hard drive or probably seated in your cloud. So that information, while it sits there, it should be protected. While it's moving from one place to another, it needs to be protected. When I talk about authorization, I'm saying that information should only be authorized for those people who are really authorized to do so. And when you talk about authorization again here, we are talking about, for example, if information was to move from point A to point B, then it should only be done by those people who are authorized. And of course, we have systems which we need to put into place to make sure that authentication and authorizations are taken care of. Non-repudiation. Here we are saying that when the information is sent, it should be coming from the authentic source. And of course, it should also be received. The information sent should also be received by an authorized receiver. Confidentiality. When we talk about confidentiality, in a nutshell, we are talking of the need to know. When we talk about integrity, we are saying that information must not be interfered with. Integrity simply here means the information should reach at the intended purpose and for the intended person. Availability. When you talk about availability here, under this concept, we are saying the information should be available to the users when they need it. In other words, the information should arrive timely. Again, under basic cryptographic, here we are talking about hiding information from the third party. In other words, we are saying here, if information has been probably somebody has gotten information without authorization, and probably they have hacked into the system, when they get that information should be what we call meaningless to them. And of course, under cryptography, we have what we call encryptions. So encryption can also, there is what we call static encryption. On the other end, you are trying to encrypt your hard drive, or you are trying to encrypt your device. And again, when that information is moving from point A to point B, it is also being encrypted. So cryptography and encryption go hand in hand. What I'm trying to say here is simple, is that for you to be able to prepare yourself in the field of cybersecurity, you need to appreciate all those concepts. Now, then we need to understand the roles of cybersecurity officials. So, when you talk about roles of cybersecurity, we are talking of those individuals who are able to take care of the system. For us to be able to appreciate the roles, we need to know what are these ICT infrastructure. In other words, what I'm saying, do we really appreciate the ICT domain? The ICT infrastructure simply comprises of what we call the user domain, where we have the users, and of course, we have those devices that they use. Again, I repeat, as many times, computers do not work alone. We must have people, and those people are the users. Then, of course, from there, they must have what we call the devices. And the devices can be their computers, the smartphones, etc. That is what we are calling there the workstation domain. We also need to appreciate what is workstation domain for you to be able to secure your data over the internet. Then we have what we call the LAN domain. Under the LAN domain, this is where we have your local area network, where different types of computers are connected within the organization for the purpose of sharing resources. Then, of course, we have what we call the LAN to WAN domain, where, of course, now we're jumping. You are connecting your local domain to what we call the wide area network domain. And of course, when that happens, you need to put in your firewalls. And actually, in that context, not only your firewall, you need to also to put what we call your IPS, your IDS. And again, you need also to put what we call the SIEM. The SIEM simply stands for System Event and Incident Management Tool. Then, of course, under that, you need to secure what I call the WAN domain, where you're connecting your mainframe. In this context, treat your mainframe as your server. Then, of course, you need also to have to protect your applications where they sit in your probably a web server. And of course, do not forget about the system applications domain. Now, still under the roles, there, I would also like to add something under the roles. In other words, under these roles, we have what we call GeoPros, which we say can be separated into 4 categories. Now, when you talk about these 4 categories, on the left side of the screen, on the right side of the screen down there, I've shared what we call govern and support, protect and define, design and develop, and of course, the last one, which I'm sorry is not being seen clearly, we are saying it's about design and develop, and of course, we have what we call operate and maintain. Now, I'll explain all this in bullet. Now, when we talk about cybersecurity professionals and their roles, number one of their roles, and what is the most important, is how to define the organization. The organization in this context, it can be where you're working from, either the organization you work from, or probably you're working in a government agency. And of course, another role would be to secure our telecommunication infrastructure. Remember, when you talk about ICT, or probably when you talk about IoT, we have the telecommunication infrastructure. Then, of course, another role that I would say is about safeguarding the finances, or safeguarding money. Remember, there is no any financial institution, or there is no serious business institution which works without the ICT systems, or in other words, there is no ICT infrastructure. All organizations have ICT infrastructure. So this infrastructure, again, must be protected. Then we have issues again of protecting the identities, and this goes again to privacy. When we go online, again, our privacy must be protected. Then I give another issue about is how to stop what you call the ransomware attacks, which are nowadays the in thing. Of course, we know what ransomware does. Ransomware is a malicious program which gets into your system, or probably the organization system, with the purpose of extortion. In other words, the sender or the owner of the ransom will want some money from the organization once they have encrypted your entire system. Now, back to, and we have so many roles that a cybersecurity professional can play. Back to our slide here, I said I'm going to talk about govern and support within the ICT infrastructure. In this context, what I mean there is how can they manage and provide direction to support or ensure that the organization conducts effective cybersecurity work. And of course, this role includes some legal advice, policy analyst, and of course, privacy, what we call the privacy and risk analyst. Now, if you look at that role of a cybersecurity professional in this context, under the governor and support, it's a non-technical role. And this is where most of us go wrong. Some of us just think that once you protect your system using the technical part of the tools that probably have been taught in a college or in a university, then you are good to go. No, you also need to appreciate the legal aspect. you also need to appreciate the policy issues and of course the privacy and of course the risk analysis. Then we have the second role under the protect and defend. Now, in this role is a more what I can term as the technical part of cybersecurity mechanism approach. Now, in this role of protect and defend, we have what we call detect, prevent, respond, and of course recover from a cyber incident. And of course, what we call the incidents are threats. So when we talk about detecting here in this role, we are saying that as professionals, we need to know how can we detect once somebody is in our system. And this somebody, we call them either hackers, we call them intruders, etc., or bad boys. Now, for us to be able to do that, we must have tools that we must put into place. And one of the tools, of course, I've said is about IDS or IPS. When we talk about IDS here, we are speaking about intrusion detection systems. We have several of them. And then we also have what we call the IPS, intrusion prevention system. Now, in the market outside there, these two tools, the IPS and IDS, are of course sold together. Now, there's a question, once you've detected and you've tried to prevent, what are you supposed to do? You need to respond. How do you respond? Of course, you need to respond to know where this threat was coming from and probably what would have been the impact. And that's where probably the risk analyst also will come in and help you to know in case there would have been impact or probably a successful intrusion or probably, yes, if there would be successful intrusion, what are the impact? And from the business community, they'll tell you the impact will be very huge. One of the impact would be loss of business, loss of reputation, and of course, loss of customer, and eventually closing down your business. So that's a big role for a cybersecurity professional. Under protect and defend. Then there is another role there under design and develop. And from my own experience, it's very essential that whenever any tool comes to the organization, whenever you are doing any development, you must involve what I call information system security officials. Now, information system security official, or probably information system consultants, they are very crucial when the system is being developed because you are able to embed security features when you're developing or designing your system. In other words, what we are saying under design and development here, we are saying that for us to be able to secure our ICT environment, or probably for us to be able to take care of cybersecurity, once we are bringing in a new software in the organization, we must involve security professionals. In other words, they'll develop, secure, and of course test and integrate the hardware. Remember, when you're bringing in a software, definitely it has to be integrated with your hardware. What does that mean? Of course, during that integration, during the integration, there is what we call the system development lifecycle. When that is being done, remember also to make sure that you've tested the security architecture. There's another role there under the operate and maintain. Here we are saying that after, of course, you bring in your tools for security, then those tools must be maintained. In other words, when you're talking about maintenance here, we are saying, does this tool really meet the initial purpose? Does it really meet those security issues that the organization probably would have, or probably do the tools really meet our intended desire for cyber security? So I jump to identifying who is hiring. So when we talk about who is hiring, I would say that everybody would hire a cybersecurity professional. Because if you're in business, as I've said, you'll have to use computers. And when you're using computers, one of the purposes that we use our computers to make sure that we share information. Now, I've just chosen a few where I've talked about online traders. Of course, they need somebody to make sure that their system are secure. We have banks, of course. All of us, we know that for us to be able to be in business, business is about making profits. It's about you selling. And if you sell, of course, you will need some money. Banks will hire those professions. We have law firms. Law firms, okay, let me still go back to the banks. Banks can employ you as one who protects their assets. They can also employ you as a consultant. You consult for them or testing their systems, if their systems are working well, and if they are meeting the standards, the security standards. Come to law firms. Law firms can also employ you as an expert if you really qualify. Of course, in a short while, I'll be talking about some qualification that one needs to be to have. Then, of course, as I've said, law firms can also employ you to protect their infrastructure. Remember, law firms also deal with the personal information about their clients. Medical facilities, the same. And of course, the government really both, for example, in Kenya, we have both governments where we have the county and also we have what we call the main, what we call the national government. So, and that's why I was saying that everybody will hire. So as students, you don't need to be afraid that who is going to hire me for this job of probably if I study cybersecurity. So I'll jump to the career path to succeed in cyber security. So if I start from, let me see, I can see somebody, just a moment. Okay. So what are these career paths to succeed in cyber security? I hope my slide is okay, but okay. Okay, those are the basics. They are what I call the basics one. Of course, you need to be a person of attention to detail. You need to have some technical knowledge. Or in these terms, when you talk about technical knowledge, it will cover a lot of things. In technical knowledge, it can be business, it can be computer science, it can be networking, software engineering. It can also be law and law enforcement. It can also be what you call the behavioral study, how human beings behave, the psychology part of it. And again, it can also be issues of audit and assessment. Those are the technical areas that, of course, one needs to know under the cyber security discipline. Then you need to be a person who can solve problems. You need to identify problems. Remember, an ICT official, or probably if you're studying ICT, technically you become a problem solver. ICT is there to solve problems. If you jump to cybersecurity, of course, you need to have passion on how you can solve problems. And for you to be able to solve problems, you must identify those problems and know exactly how you're going to solve them. And then, of course, you need to have some knowledge in what I call mobile computing. Now, apart from those basics, of course, at the end of the day, we have, in cybersecurity, we have what we call the entry levels. And at one point, we might end up being at a professional level. Now, for you to be able to be a good profession in cyber security, these are what I can term as my career path, based on my experience and based on what I've learned. One, you need to have some certification. And of course, this certification, they might be in IT support specialist, they might be in computer networking support, or probably you might have something in cyber security analyst. That can be at an entry level. And as we always say that certification is a good way, of course, for you to start your career. You must be certified, because there is no one in this world who is going to give you a job if you cannot show them that you are certified in a certain field. And of course, they'll have to ask you which bodies, they will ask you which bodies that have certified you. Or in other words, you must take some courses in authorized certification bodies, which I'm going, of course, to talk about a few of them. Okay, that's at an entry level. Then you need also to have what I call a college diploma or a graduate certificate. Now, this also is at an entry level position. Now, under what we call, what I'm saying, the diploma or graduate certificate, of course, you need to specialize in a particular field. For example, you need to specialize in network support, network security operations, system administrator, or what we call system security administrator. And of course, in some other areas, we have what we call system security operations analyst. So what will be your work here? Under this type of certification, you can be what we call the penetration tester. A penetration tester here is an individual or a profession who is able to go into a system and, of course, demonstrate the vulnerabilities of a system, and not only demonstrating the vulnerabilities of a system, coming with the solutions on how that system needs to be secured. Now, under the penetration testing, we have two types of penetration testing, whereby an individual is given some IP addresses, he's given information about the system. But again, we have what I call now the serious penetration testers, of course, serious in quotes. These are individuals who are able to get into a system by what I call doing some digital intelligence. In other words, they are able to get into a system without you giving them any information. But because when you're doing penetration testing, you must get authorization. And when I'm talking about authorization in this context, you must have a contract into getting into a system. Otherwise, you will be branded as a hacker, which is a crime in Kenyan laws and, of course, worldwide, because you are not allowed to get into other people's systems without authorization. Then under this, again, under this, what I've just described, what I've just said about the entry level is about vulnerability analyst. You can also be a vulnerability analyst. You can also be a cybersecurity specialist, IT support specialist, technical support specialist, and of course, cybersecurity supervisor. Now, then still under now, that I was talking about diploma or graduate certificates. We also have bachelor's or graduate degree as an entry level. So in this, you can be either an ICT security specialist. You can also be a security tester. You can also be an incident responder. Now, when we talk about incident responder, this is an individual who has been trained. Once an incident has happened, they come in, do some investigations, and of course, bring the system back. Nowadays, we call it, they're able to do what we call the system resilience. In other words, they're able to make our systems to come back, to bounce back, to work as if nothing has happened. Then, of course, we have cybersecurity operations analyst. This is an individual who goes into the system and makes sure that all our business processes are secure and we are operating in a secure environment. Now, for you to be able to do that, you need some work experience. You need, of course, to have some cybersecurity research. You also need to have some cybersecurity engineering know-how. And of course, you also need to know something about digital forensics and, of course, information systems security. So those are just a few, what I can call a pathway to succeed in cybersecurity. I'll go to some certifications. I don't know, my screen has hung. Just allow me to reshare again.
Oh, sorry, Martin. Kindly retry if it's going to pick. Is it better now? Okay, better now, huh? Okay.
Okay, I think it is come back.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So what I would say in this, this is a certification that probably an employer would see that you might add value into the organization. As I've said, no one will employ you or no one will deploy you into their systems if you do not have some certifications, if you do not have a diploma, probably, if you do not have a degree, and of course, you need to add on. Now, for those who have been in my classes, I've always advised them that doing a degree or a diploma is not enough. You must get some certification. And when you're getting this certification, you must get certification from a body which is recognized. We have so many of them, but the unfortunate thing is that most of these, I can say almost all of them, you can always get them not within Kenya. You need, of course, to register and, of course, do them probably online, or take yourself to those countries where these bodies are. Now, certifications are very good, and it's a great way, of course, to help you to kickstart your career. As, of course, they are focused to ensure that you are skilled, and, of course, you have the right job skill. This is where we have problems. You'll find that in most organizations, individuals have been employed as cybersecurity officials or professionals, but what they are doing is totally not what I can term as cybersecurity. And hence, you find that our systems are always vulnerable all the time, simply because we have individuals who are not certified, or probably they are saying that they are qualified by what they call experience. So all what I've displayed or shared, those are certifications that either you'll get them in Europe or probably in the United States of America. But it's always good for you to be certified. I know in this Republic of Kenya, we have several universities that, no, before I go there, I need to talk about maintaining professional conduct. It's very important, as I've said, all these, just a moment, all these bodies, before you sit for any of those exams, you must register with them and, of course, sign what we call a code of conduct. This is very crucial and very important, so that at the end of the day, you don't end up having you as a bad person. In other words, you need to be guided on how to be ethical when you are doing your work. You also need to have morals and standards of behavior while you are doing, while you are applying cybersecurity wherever you are going to be. So you need to maintain your professional conduct. You need those, and this professional conduct includes ethics, morals, and standards of behavior. There's a document that you sign which binds you with such bodies. In case you're going to do something wrong, or probably you're going to make the system vulnerable, then, of course, action will be taken against you. Something worth noting again here is that it's very difficult for us to go away before we talk of some simple, what I call cyber attacks. Now, in any cyber attacks, of course, they'll be targeting either your hardware, or probably they'll be targeting what we call the information, or probably they'll be targeting what we call the software or the information within that software. And chances are also high that they can also attack this. They can also target human beings. Now, when you talk about attacking human beings in this context, I'm talking about the users. If you look at my arrow there, my diagram, on the other type, well, on my left side, I have what you call the type of security. In the middle, I have what you call the target of attacks. And of course, at the end, I have what you call the security mechanism that you can deploy within your system. Now, the type of attack in this, as I've said, they might be looking at their hardware. And your hardware, that is that part of what we call the physical animation. Now, I know in most of us, even lecturers, I call those who are in cybersecurity, we tend to ignore physical security. And physical security is very important. Why is it very important? It's very important because our systems, our servers, our computers, they must sit in a premises, and that premises must be secure. Failure to secure your devices, failure to secure the premises where your devices sit, of course, will suffer hardware attacks. or what we call the equipment attacks. And for us to be able to take care of that or to mitigate that type of attack, we need to deploy what we call physical access security. Then, of course, there's a type of attack where, of course, an attacker wants information. They want data. In fact, the correct term there would be data, because, of course, data forms or what we call information. And that data must sit in computer. That data must be transmitted. So they'll be looking for that information. And what is the target there? The target will be your software that you're using. The target will be probably all those applications that you are using. And of course, here you need to have very serious encryption. You need also to have what we call strong passwords. And when I talk about strong passwords here, I'm talking of what we call like the level 1, level 2 type of, or even 3 of type of passwords. Then, of course, there is a type of attack where we are talking about administration here, the personnel operations, where now the social engineering comes into place. And remember, nowadays, social engineering is a powerful tool of attack. You don't need to learn much of more of these technical things. Once you've learned something in social engineering, you can hack anything. So what hackers have done nowadays, they have gone back to study social engineering. Once they've studied social engineering, then they are able, of course, to get into systems using, of course, human beings. Remember, from my previous talk, when I talked about you need to understand the 7 ICT domains, and the first entry of our ICT domain are our users, and these users are human beings. So then about IoTs, this is an area that is really emerging, the Internet of Things, whereby we are having our wearables as our computers. We are having our wearables as monitoring our movements all the time. Most of us would like to have probably smartwatch, smart devices, but again, what are those security issues that we have? Now, we need to know what is this IoT security. When we talk about IoT security, we are talking about technology segment that is focused in safeguarding and connecting devices and networks in the Internet of Things. When we talk about Internet of Things, we are talking about computers being embedded all over. And of course, we are able to share our resources. We are able to communicate with these computers. Now, IoT involves adding internet connectivity to systems of interrelated computing devices. And when we talk about these interrelated computing devices, we are talking about those mechanical and digital machines, objects, including even animals and people. That brings the IoT thing. Now, when we talk about this, when we talk about the thing itself, here we are saying that we are providing unique identifier to these things. For a good example, maybe if I say like your mobile phone should be having what you call the email number, which is very unique. Now, when you go to those chips that connects us to different devices, they need also to have what you call unique identifiers. And those unique identifiers are what enables us, or they have the ability of automatically identifying which device is transmitting what over the internet or probably over the network. Now, what is IoT security? Now, IoT security here refers to the methods of protecting, used, or to secure the internet connected or network-based devices. Now, again, you will see that IoT security here goes back to just defining what is in the internet security. What we are talking about, protection. We're talking about protection all the time, protection. Now, so the term IoT here is a broad term that we use in technology, or where we're saying that is continuing evolving. So IoT security here is firmly IoT security. We can equate IoT security as a family of techniques, strategies, and tools used to protect those devices that we use wherever they are compromised. Now, when we talk about for us to be able to appreciate again IoT, we also need to know what are those issues. Now, one of the issues under IoT is connectivity. When we talk about connectivity here, we are saying devices are able to connect either using wireless. And when we talk about wireless, wireless is usually vulnerable. A good example would be your Bluetooth. So now, because of this, the broader perspective, what is it that we can do and make sure that we are secure when we are using our IoT? Of course, we need to appreciate the application programming interface security. We also need to appreciate the public key infrastructure. And then when we talk about public key infrastructure, the PKI, it will help us to know, or probably to, actually it will help us to know whom we are really communicating with, if you're going to deploy a proper public key infrastructure. And so last, not really last, but almost to the end, yes. We have some universities in Kenya. I've not put exhaustively all of them. I've just sampled them. We have the United States, the United States International University, the USIU in Nairobi. They teach, you can also take a cybersecurity program there. We also have Strathmore University in Nairobi. We have the KCA University. We also have the GeoPros. As a rule, I usually give my students 10 minutes to ask questions. It is now questions time. I'll pick questions. Feel free to ask me anything about cybersecurity.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Martin. And thank you, students and participants, for your patience and your active interaction. So it's, as Martin has said, we are giving you, is it 10 minutes for Q&A?
Yeah, 10 minutes. I usually like giving my students 10 minutes to ask questions.
Okay. So just post them, type them. We'll be here to, Martin will be here to answer them. Huh? I'm seeing the first hand up is Rita, right? Is it Rita or Rita Luther? Rita, kindly just have your mic on, and you could activate your video as well so that we also get to see you. Proceed.
I currently can't have activate the video, so if you could please listen to just what I was want to ask.
Okay, please proceed.
So, as Martin was saying about the certifications, I wanted to ask something about that.
Please go ahead, Rita.
He said that when getting the certifications, you have to apply maybe to a program or a course that's not a course exactly, but a program that's abroad from maybe the USA. So I wanted to ask if I wanted to do a certification that's in Kenya, such as the Cisco or the CISSP certification. Yes. Will that be really useful, or would it be not null?
Thank you so much, Rinta Luther, for your question. Very valid question. Remember, as I said earlier in my presentation, you have to register online. So you'll have, for example, as what Rita she just said, the CISSP, that's one of the certifications that is acceptable worldwide, not only in Kenya. I'm also a CSSP. Certified. So what you'll have to do, you'll have to go to the website of the CSSP. Not actually, the certification is CSSP, but the body is ISA squared. So you'll have to go to that site. You'll be guided on how to register. Once you register, they'll supply you with the reading materials, which will prepare you for the exam. Once you pass the exam, of course, they'll provide you with the certification. It is a process.
Okay.
So almost all these certifications, if you go to the website, we'll get them and you are able to register.
Okay, thank you. So you necessarily don't have to be taught in a classroom by someone, or you just have to learn it online?
Okay. Back here, when I was talking about, I hope you are there, when I was talking about the career path guideline, and I mentioned that we have entry points. And one of the entry points, I started by saying you need to have you can have a certificate at the entry level, Rinta, if you can remember. when I say that you get some certification, in countries like probably the US and the Europe, they might not look at the college diploma or graduate certificate. But when you come to this other part of the world, somebody will ask you for a diploma plus the certification. Or either somebody will also ask you about your bachelor or graduate degree plus the certification. Somebody will ask you about your master's degree plus the certification, including if you are going to have a PhD in information systems or probably cybersecurity, certification is very critical. Rinta, are you there?
Yes. Yeah, I'm
yes.
here.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. I hope I've given you an answer.
Yes, you have. So if I learn about the SSP, the learning material, I can come, let's say, to someone like you who is certified, gives me an exam.
I'll be very willing to guide you on how to really get your certification.
Okay, thank you.
That is one of my lovely work that I love doing. I like guiding students on their career path in cybersecurity.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome, Rinta.
Okay, thank you, Rinta. There's another question on the chat. So maybe just to emphasize on what Martin has said, these such platforms are channeled or targeted at our students, and they're also meant to be avenues where you meet your mentors. So we believe you all have a passion for cybersecurity as attendants. So also get contacts, get the links, the contacts that the presenter is sharing, and try to find out about how to manage your life, how to also maneuver your passion as you ponder about your career. So the next question from the chat is from Kelvin Kaoka. And Kelvin is saying, let's say you are looking for an internship at the NIS, and you have the CPE certifications from, let's say, Udemy. Can you be considered? That's a question from Kelvin.
Probably, what is this CPA? So let me start from there. What is CPA? What does CPA means for the point of clarification and for everyone? Kelvin?
Kelvin, okay. Kelvin, what is the abbreviation CPA in full? CPE? Or did you mean you meant KCPE? Continued professional education. Thank you, Kelvin.
Yeah, this is what I was saying, that some of us, so interesting. Actually, I believe Kelvin Kaoka is a very good listener. Now, remember when I said that the problem we have in most organizations is that people will tell you that they are certified by, they call themselves, you are certified by experience. This is what I call the continued professional education. Anyway, what I'm saying is this: first and foremost, we must understand where this person is coming from. Is he at an entry level? And is entry level, is he at this what we call the certificate level? Is he at the diploma level? Is he at the graduate level? Now, in this part of the world, where we are, the third world country, this is my experience again, you must have some what we call either a diploma, and then of course go and do those certifications that I've said, or probably be a graduate of ICT and of course do those certifications. It has to do with the client. Again, remember, there is what we call in the outside world here, or in the business, there is what we call, are you really qualified? And if you're qualified, can you show us your qualification? And once you show us your qualification, what is your level of certification? So on this one, I would not say that, and when you're talking about internship here at the National Intelligence Security, I will not speak for them, but from my experience, again, I know National Intelligence Security, they have their website where you apply for internship. And once you apply for internship, of course, there's a questionnaire form that you're going to fill. And based on that questionnaire form that you're going to fill, they'll see where to place you. Remember, from just what I'd said, for you to be able to be in a cybersecurity environment, you must understand the ICT. You must have some technical know-how. And even if you're going to be a legal advisor, then again, you need to have the technical know-how. We have people who have gone to the Kenya Law School, but they have interest in ICT. They have learned something in the ICT domain, and of course, they're able to give guidelines. Now, in cybersecurity, remember we deal with the third-party information. A lot of data is about people. It is about privacy. Then, of course, we need to know how we are going to safeguard data of our clients or probably our customers. Hence, when I talk about safeguarding, we're not only talking about the technical aspect, we are also talking about legal aspects. And actually, legal aspect is one of the emerging issues. For example, in Kenya today, we have what we call the Data Privacy Act. And if you're going to share someone's private data without their information, you'll be breaking the law. And imagine if it's a big company or a bank which is doing that, then they're going to be sued. And if they are sued, of course, they'll have to pay. And that will impact on their reputation, which means they're going to lose customers. Yes, any other question? I hope, Kelvin.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Martin, for that elaborate. Kelvin has actually appreciated for that elaborate explanation. There's another question from Johari Kisiangani. Kisangani is asking, what's the website for applying for the certification exam? Johari wants to, yes.
The challenge here would be, number one, we have a few, let me just display we have several certification. For example, we have, let me say the CompTIA. If you go to the CompTIA site, what we call the CompTI, a simple Google will direct you to CompTIA site, and of course you'll be able, you'll be guided on how you can grow in cybersecurity. Now, we have several sites here. Another one, like what Rinta had just said, the site, for example, for CASSP, you'll notice it's is what we call the ISC squared. Probably, let me see if I can share them on the chart. All these certifications, they have different websites. So there are many, but what I'm saying, they are recognized by organizations. Any other question?
Oh, thank you, Martin, for that. As you share the links, I think we'll also on the YouTube channel, we can also share the links to, because I'm seeing there are participants also on YouTube. So there's another question that has come up from Dev. Dev is asking, do we have Kenyan bodies responsible for cybersecurity certifications in Kenya?
At the moment, I would say there is none that I know of.
Okay.
But we have what we call affiliated bodies. For example, I know like the ISACA body, which is famous for information systems. They have introduced a component of cybersecurity. But again, of course, the requirement, you have to register with them, but the exam will come still from abroad.
Okay, thank you. That was from Devo Kumu. Any other question? I'm just seeing people are thanking you for the insightful presentation.
I'm just posting. I'm posting the website for ISACA. You can also try to visit that website for ISACA. I know they have something locally that can help you to build your career in cybersecurity. Now, the beauty with cybersecurity is once you've done only one certification, you'll find that you're motivated, and chances are very high that wherever you'll be attending those conferences abroad, you can use those conferences at that time you are there to sit for these certifications. Any other question?
Any other question, or students and participants? You could also just ask a live question, unmute and ask. There's Clarice Bwanga who is saying that was an insightful presentation. So thank you, Clarice. Okay, so maybe as we wait for rising questions. Martin, kindly, you could maybe give us a last parting shot. If
Okay.
Since you're not seeing a last questions from the audience, maybe parting shot or something to take home.
Yeah, what I can say is that cybersecurity is a journey, and this journey helps you to secure yourself, and also it helps you to secure your systems. That's what I'll say. And remember, again, as I've said, it's a journey. It's not a one stop. So if you're interested in cybersecurity, just get prepared to walk the journey. That's all I can say.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Martin. The audience is asking for your contacts, maybe a LinkedIn profile or a LinkedIn address so that you share them.
Just a moment. Yeah, I have my LinkedIn profile. Just a moment. Let me share with it. You can always find me on LinkedIn. I'm always live in all the social media, probably. But I like the LinkedIn because it's much more professional.
Dr. Rono, maybe you could tell us the last parting shot as we wind up, Dr. Rono.
Okay, if just a moment before Dr. Rono comes in, if you are, for those who like to get me on LinkedIn, let me just type for them something here. Just go to LinkedIn and request, just find, no, sorry, Martin Luther. Just go to LinkedIn. You'll find there Martin Luther. Then send me a request. And when you're sending me a request, because it will I'll ask you some questions. I don't just accept requests from anybody. So if you are in this meeting, just tell me I was in this meeting, and probably we would like to connect. Then I have no problem. I'll accept you. My number, for those who'd like to get me probably on WhatsApp, my number is 0722-88-6424. But of course, make sure that if you're to send me, you send me messages which are official. I'll appreciate.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Rono, you can go on.
Dr. Rono, are you in? Maybe you could. I've shared, Martin, is that your number? I've shared it on the screen. I hope it's the right, on the chat.
No problem. Yeah, that's my number.
Okay. So maybe I just continue before we call it a day. Okay, Stephen, you want to say something? Karanja? Steve?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you, madam. Okay. So I can see Dr. Rono is saying that he has left a bit. Maybe he's handling a class.
Okay. So maybe tell us, give us a vote of thanks.
Okay,
as
thank you, madam.
As the chair of the TUC Cybersecurity Club.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Also, thank you, Martin. The presentation was insightful. Other students have commented. I liked it. And also, if possible, you can share the presentation with us. There are some students who are asking about the links to take the certification exam. Maybe with the presentation, they can be able to search and get them online, that is. So I really appreciate your time to give us this presentation, and also the students who are attending the session. And I hope we'll have more meetings as we go along. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Thank you, people. Thank you, students. Thank you, lecturers who managed to join in, and also those who maybe will find time to join in later in the YouTube channel. So we want to thank you so much and wish you well even in your cybersecurity journey. And above all, we want